was just fantasy. He used to believe in something. What happened? Mills for liberty. Gnostic sex cult, building his own world. A Gnostic sex cult, unhinged from reality. Totally lost it. What can we do? The mocking relentlessly. It's not a Gnostic sex cult, James. No, it's not. Stop lying to your audience. No, it's not. It's not Gnostic, James. Mary Nardini tells us queer liberation means the annihilation of capitalism. Catch up, James. Whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. Queer theory hates capitalism. Whiteness means capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. Whoa. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. It's all about capitalism. Everyone knows it's capitalism. The socialists know it's capitalism. Wake up, James. It's capitalism. It's capitalism. To pocket all that money from the mills for liberty. The left hates capitalism, but James won't admit it. He refuses to believe queer theory stabilizes normativity, the gender binary, and the nuclear family. But James blocks the truth, smears people who try to show him, creates an echo chamber for himself to reinforce his fantasy. Is to believe in something. What happens for liberty? Gnostic sex cult, building his own world. The Gnostic sex cult, unhinged from reality. He's totally lost it. What can we do but mock him relentlessly?
What does I don't know. This might be coded, but I'm not sure. What does a Gnostic sex cult have to do with the far left's goal? This guy named Bot is going off about this Gnostic sex cult. What that?
And so we're just not going to answer that question.
Okay, so that's I figured that. So we're just okay. That's why I figured that. Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't be a day that ends in Y if James Lindsay wasn't still mad. You know, Joshua pointed this out to me a while ago. So when James Lindsay blocked Reagan, does everyone remember when James Lindsay, Reagan is the chief organizational officer of the cult because she's so organized and she has it all together. Reagan knows how to do like spreadsheets and databases and lists and all this stuff that I have no clue about. Reagan's also like the nicest person in the world. And like, if people think I'm like, Reagan is like the opposite of me. Everything that I am not in terms of being nice and cordial to people, Reagan like is just so, she does everything so beautifully and just like I aspire. And James Lindsay several months ago sent out a tweet to his entire like 500,000 followers on Twitter, telling them all to block Reagan because she was part of some sort of conspiracy theory because she was trying to teach people that that the goal of queer Marxism is to abolish the gender binary. And James doesn't like it when you hinge ideas back into reality. And so he sent out this tweet featuring Reagan, telling his entire audience to block her. And when he sent out that tweet, he explicitly said in that tweet, "I'm not going to speak about this again." Or something like, "This is the last time I'm going to talk about this." Well, here we are several months later, and James Lindsay is still talking about it. But I have to say, like, I'm not even mad today. I'm not even mad because finally, for once, at long last, James is kind of sort of telling the truth. At long last, there is actually an accurate version of what happened on James Lindsay's Twitter feed. Because what James did earlier today was retweet the woman who has been stalking me for 4 years, poetry painter, aka Jill Fugman, aka Psycho. And I got to tell you, I really have to. I'm genuinely not even mad about this, because literally all that Jill did was post a picture of a tweet that I sent that said, if you're confused about why James Lindsay is working with troll accounts to discredit me, it starts with this meme. James refuses to say the goal of queer theory is to abolish capitalism. It's not a Gnostic sex cult, but we'll treat him that way if he wants. And oh, when I say poetry painter's been stalking me, I mean that there have literally been multiple trips that I've made to the police station. I'm not just saying that. This is, and people who have been around a long time know that this is true. However, the problem is that I can't, there's nothing that the law does not protect me. So I've actually had to get very used to living in a world where I am stalked every single day of my life by this psychotic bitch. Because I've been to the police multiple times. There's nothing they can do. But again, like, I have to say, like, I mean, this is actually an accurate version of what I said. For once. I'm sorry, like, I knew when I asked Bot to make this meme, I knew it was going to come in handy. And I do not apologize. I think this is funny. And I think secretly James really likes it. And I think secretly James wants to be in that position, which is why he tweeted it in the first place. Because you gotta admit, like, there's no reason for someone to just tweet this just like as is with no commentary if you aren't, I don't know, a little turned on by it. So we all know that James we now all know that James's thing with the big sword is just posturing, perhaps. And so this got sent out by Poetry Painter today. I don't even know exactly what point she was trying to make, other than my community made an awesome meme. And then James just retweeted it and said, yikes. Now, given the other day that James was on Benjamin Boyce's channel talking about us, and he was telling everyone that we are just doing a child's version of Marxism. And if you're just talking about capitalism, that is a child's version of Marxism. James's version of Marxism, where he's working with Lisa Logan to talk about how meditation and the law of attraction is an indoctrination into a secret UN globalist, Oprah-driven, Gnostic conspiracy theory. That's hinged into reality. But no, us talking about capitalism is not hinged into reality, and I find it kind of odd. I'll go look in a moment. I haven't looked. I don't look at the comments. Like, what? Like, I personally find James's audience to be retarded. It's like, it was so depressing to me anytime I look in James's like comments around this sort of stuff, because it's like, you see his audience and you know that they have no fucking clue what's going on because they bought into James's bullshit interpretation of what's going on. And it's like, they're the ones in a cult, yo. They're the ones that are not actually able to think for themselves. And so I got to tell you, I'm actually like, you know, I'm actually pretty pleased that James said this, because this at least is some acknowledgement on his feed that we should be saying capitalism. And Logan Lansing can have all the feelings he wants about that. And I don't really care, because Logan Lansing. Wait, seriously? Seriously? Okay, we'll look at that in a second. But first, what I want to say is this. We'll look at Logan's comment in a second. It'll be a pure reaction from me. But I found the timing of this so incredibly funny, because just today I released a couple of clips from the California Community College's Spy Stream that we did last week. For those of you who were not involved in Spy Stream last week, we basically infiltrated it was a 2-day queer liberation summit that was hosted by the Chancellor's Office of the California Community Colleges, which meant it was broadcast into every community college in the state of California. And we actually got some pretty good clips out of it. I released a couple of them last night / this morning. And I find it really ironic because, well, James Lindsay and Logan Lansing are writing entire books about queer theory that do not say the word capitalism and do not explain to their audience at all that the goal of queer theory is to abolish capitalism. Let me show you one of the clips that we got from the Queer Liberation Conference hosted last week from the California community colleges, because we were in a workshop called My Pronouns Matter. It was about pronouns. This is a gender ideology conference. This was not a conference about Marxism. This was not a conference about economics. This was a gender ideology queer theory conference in a session called My Pronouns Matter. Now, sometimes when I'm infiltrating these conferences, and there you can see it right there, the CCC LGBTQ plus summit. That's what we watched last week for 2 days on Spy Stream. And I sometimes like to instigate in the Q&A when we do these things. And I asked a couple of questions during this because there was one slide in this presentation where they basically put up this slide that was talking about pronouns in relation to the patriarchy and white supremacy and colonialism and all that. And I was like, holy shit, this is an entire slide about capitalism. Now, they didn't say the word capitalism, but they said like patriarchy, white supremacy, all the words that we know mean capitalism because we listen to the left more than James Lindsay can ever dare dream he will. And so I asked them, I said, can you guys speak to how capitalism interacts with all the systems at play in regards to pronouns? And they kind of gave me a throwaway answer at first. They were basically like, well, we're going to have to make some decisions about who we vote for in November. And I think we all know it's pretty important to disrupt the power structure, and who we vote for matters. And so they were kind of vague about it in the first answer. And so then what I did is I just prodded a little bit more, just poke them just a little bit. And I said, can you expand more on the capitalism piece? I think it would be really helpful to understand how that fits in. And given that James Lindsay, again, just the other day on Benjamin Boyce said, they're so silly. The capitalism argument is a child's version of Marxism. I just wrote a book about how queer theory is a Gnostic sex cult, and we don't mention capitalism once because mentioning capitalism in relation to queer theory is a child's version of Marxism. And I don't know why I would ever lower myself to tell people that queer theory, the goal of queer theory is to abolish capitalism, because that's child's play. I would much rather talk about the Oprah, New World Order, Law of Attraction, social emotional learning, United Nations, meditation, Gnostic sex cult. Okay, he didn't actually say that, but he did say that it was childish for us to be talking about capitalism. Well, let me show you what happened when at a queer ideology, at a queer liberation conference, in a session about pronoun uses, I ask them, how does capitalism play into this? Let me just play you the clip.
I can touch a little bit on the last question about the capitalism piece. I'm really going to show my standings on a few certain topics within society, but capitalism is the root of all evil and is directly tied to upholding white supremacy and the patriarchy within society. If you look at the number of billionaires that exist within the United States, I would love for you to acknowledge what percentage of them are white men. I cannot tell you off the top of my head, but my estimation would probably be in the 90th percentile. So in that way, like, it really all comes down to power and control, and people who hold power and control, which currently in America is typically cisgendered, privileged, rich white men. they hold the power, and they want to uphold the power that they hold by moving towards a more inclusive society that acknowledges and respects all folks for who they are as their fabulous selves. It shifts that power and it moves it away from being maintained by that system, and therefore it is all interconnected, and it always will be. And that is why money is also a really great way that you can advocate for change, whether it be through boycotts or supporting, LGBTQ plus owned businesses owned by people of color, indigenous owned businesses. When you travel, staying in spaces and hotels owned by local folk instead of really large corporations. These are all ways that you can continue moving towards that shift of a more inclusive society. And I'll pause because I don't want to go on a whole rant, but that's just a little piece.
So let me just, final thoughts about, power and privilege. I think with our intersections of our identities, we may hold some of these in different spaces. So I think there's something to be said with knowing where you can make these influences and also know where you can make these changes. So we may hold them in different spaces. And I just want you to be mindful of where that might be and how you may be agents of changes, because this is where we need to be. We need to be in those institutional conversations, in those, areas when we do documentation and changes where we give voice. So I think this is something that I think we can all kind of hopefully carry on and move into these areas. And if we know folks in these power and privileges, to kind of be kind of allies and kind of advocate alongside us. So I think there's some synergy there.
All right. You get the idea. So when I asked, and you guys can see an extended clip of that over on the Substack if you want to see like the entire interaction, but I wanted to get it down to just like brass tacks about it. So when I asked at a queer liberation conference in a session about pronouns, how does capitalism play into all this? They were more than willing to come right out and say, capitalism is the root of all evil. So if James thinks that he's like owning me in some way by retweeting this meme in which I am literally whipping him as to entice him to finally and at long last tell his audience that queer theory, the goal of queer theory, queer Marxism, is to abolish capitalism because they believe that capitalism created the gender binary, which is men and women. It put men in the workplace, women in the home, doing the unpaid labor of raising the nuclear family. It is also trying to abolish the nuclear family because queer Marxists believe that the nuclear family is the literal means of production for capitalism and that you cannot abolish capitalism without abolishing the nuclear family because of social reproduction theory. I really don't think I'm asking too much. The queer Marxists are saying capitalism. We're saying capitalism. Literally, the only people in this equation that are not saying capitalism and not acknowledging that it's capitalism are the two people who wrote the book on the queering of the American child, which now all these conservatives are reading and giving all these conservatives exactly the wrong idea. That's like the Pied Piper piping the conservatives right off the goddamn cliff because it's not actually telling them what the real problem is. James Lindsay and Logan Lansing are literally the only people that are not saying capitalism. Now, I guess I could make memes about Logan Lansing, but I just don't care enough about him. Logan Lansing is not as influential as James. And so, yes, do I hope that Logan Lansing is going to eventually come around and acknowledge the truth? Well, sure. I mean, it would be nice to know that Logan Lansing is not just a conservative grifter that's out to make money by riling up his audience about some mystery Gnostic sex cult that only he and James Lindsay know the hidden knowledge of. That would be really nice. But the fact of the matter is that James is the one with the audience. James is the one that has taken on this responsibility of saving humanity from the Gnostic fucking sex cult. So I'm sorry, this is his responsibility. And if he doesn't want to tell his audience the truth, then I will tell his audience the truth. And if James Lindsay wants to retweet hilarious memes where I'm literally dominating his ass, getting him to bend the knee to my will, I just kind of think he's foreshadowing what is almost inevitable. We are going, if we just keep going, James Lindsay has shown us over the last several weeks that if we just keep on his ass, we are breaking him more and more and more. He's losing it more and more and more. And eventually he's going to bend. And I feel great, James. Bro, you're doing exactly what I want you to do. You're literally doing what I want you to do, James. I want you to be sharing this with your audience. So keep playing right into the palm of my hand, bro. Like, it's like I really am. I really, like, I'm not really a dominatrix in real life, but it's kind of like I am, isn't it? It's kind of like I'm actually getting James Lindsay to eat out of the palm of my hand and do exactly what I want him to do. And I will keep doing this until James is finally honest with his audience about what is going on. And if he wants to continue to lie to his audience, I will just keep going. And the more that James tweets about me, the more he exposes real content to his audience. And the more that James tweets about me, the more people are going to come over here and be like, what the fuck is that crazy bitch doing? And then they're going to start to see. So keep eating, James. Keep nibbling out of the palm of my hand, darling. I will keep playing you like a fiddle. I don't really care. I'm not the one with the head injury, James. But people said that Logan Lansing was making some comments. Let's see. Oh my God. Imagine thinking you can summarize queer theory as abolishing capitalism and thinking this offers your audience any useful insight into defeating it. Logan. Proving that Logan Lansing hasn't bothered to do the basic bit of research into what my argument actually is. It's almost like Logan Lansing doesn't actually look into the things that he claims to care about and the things that he claims to know about. Maybe Logan is just upset that he wasn't the one in the meme. Could that be it? We're not going to look at. I've been really disappointed in Yuri Bezmenov's like ghost lately. I mean, additionally, reducing everything to capitalism is several important consequences of queer theory. No, it doesn't, bro. No, it doesn't. The only people that believe that reducing everything to abolishing capitalism overlooks several elements of queer theory are the people who do not understand what those elements are or why they're doing them, Yuri Bezmenov. You want to use that name, bro? Then you should understand that the reason that they want to abolish the gender binary is because they believe that capitalism created the gender binary. They're using a lot of different methods to do that. Abolishing the gender binary is literally what non-binary references. Non-binary means no binary. The fact that there are so many non-binary, gender fluid, genderqueer kids running around right now is a reflection of queer Marxists integrating themselves into the education system to try to abolish the gender binary. And secondarily, because they want to abolish the gender binary, that's also an attack on the nuclear family. You're going to tell me that attacks on parental rights are not an important issue right now? You're going to tell me that I haven't explained attacks on parental rights 19 ways from goddamn Sunday, and the reason that the left wants to abolish the nuclear family and is using attacks on parental rights in order to do it is because, asshole, the left believes that parental rights are a form of private property. Private property means capitalism. And if you don't understand this, Yuri Bezmenov's ghost, you do not understand the left. Really disappointed in you, bro. Really, really disappointed. You got to stop sucking James Lindsay's cock so much because apparently there's something in James Lindsay's brain damage cum that's like getting into your system when you're sucking his cock so much that like is just short-circuiting your brain, and you're not able to actually see that the root cause of literally everything that you're going to refer to is abolishing capitalism. Just get off your knees, bro. It's not that hard. Just stand up. Get off your knees. Let's see. James says, it sort of does, actually. If you educate people properly on communism and then get them to combat that as they should be, then the recognition that all these intersectional causes, including queer theory, are truly about communism, destabilization, and revolution at their core will defeat the root cause. Yes, James Mason! James Mason needs to be in my audience. Someone needs to go. Someone come invite James Mason to a spy stream. Someone come invite him to the channel. James Mason is absolutely smart enough to be in my audience. And then we got, oh, look, Stony Baloney. Stony Baloney zooming in with the anarchist literature. Stony Baloney for the win! You got to go way back. I don't know what that is. Oh, look at it. Carlin is nuts. Oh my God. Oh my God. Holy shit. This person is literally agreeing with me while at the same time calling me nuts. Watch this. Okay, but I'm confused. James, you always say the issue is never the issue. The issue is the revolution. Isn't that essentially saying what they want to usher in as a communist revolution, which would by default abolish capitalism? This person literally agreed with me and then said I was crazy. Yo, all right. Well, you know, I keep telling you guys, James Lindsay's audience is just not they're not the brightest bulbs in the box. You know, James caters to the sub 100 IQ audience. This is the difference between James and I. Only dumb people who want to feel smart listen to James because they actually convince themselves that they understand what he's saying when they have no goddamn clue what he's saying, but it sounds really smart and James like flirts with them and all this stuff. And so the dumb women, usually middle age, usually with completely unsatisfactory sex lives, gravitate to James, and they can be in his audience and they can feel smart and they can say words that they don't understand and all that. I cater to the above 100 IQ audience, and you don't even need to be a woman. You definitely don't need to be a middle-aged woman. I would say I have a good 50-50 split of men and women in my audience, but I do tend to appeal more to gay men than straight men, but that's okay. That's all right. You know, it's okay to serve different audiences. James can totally serve all of the QAnon retired moms who have now moved over to the Moms for Liberty after they got out of their QAnon stage. Now they're Moms for Liberty conspiracy theorists. That is a perfect audience for James. I think this is great. I'm just going to serve different people. So, nice try, James. Thank you for retweeting a meme in which I look great. And if anyone is interested in the clip that I played in this, you can find this over on my Substack. Remember, James doesn't want you to know that actual queer activists in the real world are literally teaching last week on the taxpayer dime that capitalism is the root of all evil. But you can find that over on my Substack, which is Carlin, KARLYN .substack.com. I also have another clip that I posted there, which this clip is actually crazy. If you didn't get a chance to see this clip, I would definitely recommend doing it. This is a clip from a different session from the same conference called Queering the Spectrum, the Intersections of Neurodiversity and LGBTQ plus Identities. And in this clip, the trainer literally says, autistic kids are inherently queer biologically. Literally says that. You can head over to the Substack to see that clip, and that'll be available to you as well. And guys, if you do want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business, because my work is 100% funded by you, then head over to my Substack and sign up as a member for $8 a month, $80 a year. I really do appreciate it. Your membership allows me to do things like taking 2 days to do a spy stream infiltration. By the way, we did that spy stream infiltration in which I was streaming over 4 hours a day just on that one thing. Well, James was tweeting nonsense about me on Twitter. James was tweeting Photoshop screenshots and he was elevating stalkers and all this shit. So I was getting this shit slung at me from James Lindsay on Twitter. I still infiltrated a 2-day queer liberation conference. And the only reason that I'm able to do that is because because people like you who actually care about what the truth is, unlike James Lindsay, unlike Logan Lansing, unlike their audiences, you guys allow me to take you inside these trainings to show you what's really going on when the left believes that you're not listening to them. So if you want more trainings, if you want more infiltrations, if you want more spy streams, head over to the Substack again, Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com, and sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. I really do appreciate it.